Hey guys, welcome back to another Signs of the Times video. Sometimes I'm hesitant to share these things, like this information, because I think people already know it. And for some people it's old news, and that's probably true. But the thing is, I was just reminded today that there will be people here watching that have not seen these signs yet, because they might not be watching and praying. So without going into too much depth, I will share some more signs that show us Jesus is coming back very soon. If you are still skeptical that we're living in the last days, please think about what the odds are that all these things are happening at the same time, I guess you could say in this generation. Matthew 24 verse 34 says, "Verily I say unto you," this is Jesus speaking, "that this generation shall not pass until all these things be fulfilled." And he's talking about all the signs that he's mentioned. If you watch my videos, part 1 and 2 of the Signs of the Times, all these signs that we're seeing, Jesus is saying all these things coming together, happening at the same time. That generation that sees that will not pass until everything is fulfilled, and that includes Jesus returning. So, the first thing I wanted to mention is the third temple. And I have mentioned this really in my part 2 of my Signs of the Times videos, but I want to link the third temple with Donald Trump. And I've kind of forgotten about Donald Trump, but he's been in the background. And obviously, while he was president, there was a lot of fuss about him for a lot of different reasons. But was everyone aware? I'm not sure if everyone's aware about his connection with Israel and the third temple. And although this leads us into a rabbit hole of a lot of factual information and a lot of, I guess, other ideas as well, conspiracy or whatnot, I want to bring our attention just back to it briefly, without going into detail, just to make you aware of, I guess, what's happening. So I'll just read you this little bit from the Israel Today website. It says, Rabbi Berger explained, "No leader in history has recognized Jerusalem as the capital of the Jews and Israel. Trump has already created a great tikkun, or reparation, for the Christians through his unprecedented relationship with Jerusalem. Trump is the representative of Edom that will perform that final historic reparation of his entire nation by building the temple."
We hope, just as King Cyrus pushed us, the Jewish people, to rebuild the temple, we hope all the 70 nations and President Donald Trump, after he recognized Jerusalem as the spiritual, holy capital of the land of Israel, of the state of Israel, he will help us, the Jewish people, rebuild the third temple. And that's why we have the Seal of America, the original Persian Empire.
Christianity and Islam and all the monotheism religious has a very, very important role to unify everybody, to worship the true living God, and to prosper and thrive according to God's will. It's so simple.
Do you think that the Vatican Pope Francis, he seems to have a similar message? Do you think that that Rome will go along with this too?
It's unbelievable. Here, in the center of Jerusalem, I'm surrounded people from other nations, and we're all talking about one thing, of the importance of Jerusalem, and the importance of peace, and the importance of the Geulah of redemption. So we're part of a prophetic process. That's what it's all about. And this president, he understood when nobody else understood. He understood we're not talking politics. We're not talking politics. We're talking Torah. We're talking prophets. That's what it's all about. And once we understand it, and I think he understood it, maybe he can't say it, but he knows. And he's pushing us. He's pushing us. And the whole world is there.
Can I ask,
Where are you from?
England.
England. Okay, so you have England also.
Can I ask, you said earlier that some of the temple is ready to be built in a prefab state. Is that true? Do you have part of the temple already built?
And it's exactly what we said before. It's not enough to pray for the temple. And if you pray for something, you have to believe. And to show that you believe something, you have to do. So that's why we have a lot of vessels made. We have a big altar that was made. We have programs, and yes, also some of the pieces of the temple, like this blocks itself, can be just transferred exactly like the model we see over here, 15 times bigger than this, and the temple can be built. A few months ago, President Donald Trump declared that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. The holy Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. We want to say thank you. We want to show our gratitude to that big declaration, and that's why we put President Donald Trump next to King Cyrus on our special coin.
Now, there are some Christians who already think Trump could be a candidate for being the Antichrist, or at least part of the beast. And yeah, in a way, I can kind of understand that based on what we see regarding the temple. And also the fact that so many people looked up to him as a sort of Messiah figure, especially in the last few years, since all this stuff started going down. If you know what I'm talking about, since 2019, 2020, when the world's changed. There were a lot of Trump supporters, let's just say, that went off on a bit of a tangent and sort of, how can we say, they think they're awake about what's going on, but they really held Trump as a bit of a Messiah figure, and that in itself is quite concerning. They believe that he's doing things behind the scenes that will liberate them and pave the way to this new world of freedom and truth. And yeah, I think that just raises a bit of a red flag. And that makes me think, hey, yeah, sure, that does make him a bit of a candidate for being the Antichrist if he's going to bring people all this false peace, false hope, and be this Messiah figure. But anyway, some people think he might even come back into presidency. So that remains to be seen. But if that happens, I would be thinking of that verse in Revelation 13, where it talks about one of the heads of the beasts that was wounded like unto death, but he came back healed. Then all the world wondered at the beast and said, who is like him, and who can make war with him? Not saying that's what it means, but hey, everything in this video, I'm telling you some facts, I'm showing you what the facts are, and then I'm also giving you my opinion, and then I'm also giving you Bible verses. So make of all of that what you will. I'm happy to say what parts of it are my thoughts. I'm happy to say what parts of it are facts from news articles. And I'm happy to remind you along the way to make up your own mind. So anyway, that's Revelation 13 verse 3, where it says, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. So yeah, makes you think, right? Also, if you read the King James Version, the last trumpet is written as the last trump. And the last trump sounds when Jesus returns. I know it's a bit of conspiracy to say something like that. I'll admit it. So let's just move on and let's get back to the facts now. If you watched my other end times signs videos, or if you read the Bible, you'll remember that the Antichrist will stop the daily sacrifices in the third temple, and that's when we'd find ourselves in the Great Tribulation, right before the return of Jesus Christ. By the way, this is also after the Antichrist signs a peace treaty of 7 years that he will break midway through. But I digress. But yeah, look, President Trump declared that there would be peace in the Middle
Really
East.
an incredible event, very important event. I made clear that the problems of the Middle East can only be solved when people of all faiths come together to fight Islamic extremism and pursue economic opportunity for people of all faiths. And when you look at what's happening, you're seeing a lot of progress is being made that nobody thought could possibly be made.
So that raised another flag, I guess, for people to maybe consider him as the Antichrist. Is that the 7-year peace treaty that will be broken 3.5 years into it? I'm not too sure about that one. Probably not. But still, it makes you think. Now, isn't it funny that this is all so recent? And only just now in September 2022, there were 5 red heifers that arrived in Israel that qualify to be used as a sacrifice. This is out of Tomorrow's World website, Tomorrow's World News. So it says, the 1-year-old female calves were bred and raised on a ranch in Texas solely for the purpose of producing red heifers that could be used in purification rituals in Jerusalem. Now, to meet Jewish rabbinical standards, the cows must have no more than 2 non-red hairs, must not have been used for any work, and must have no blemishes, including no brands or ears punctured by tagging. The Temple Institute in Jerusalem recently sent a team of rabbis to Texas to inspect the calves and identify potential candidates. The heifers will now be raised in Israel and will be inspected and prepared for possible sacrifice when they are 2 years and 1 day old. According to scripture recorded in Numbers 19, red heifers played a vital role in temple worship in ancient Israel. According to rabbinical tradition, once a red heifer is sacrificed and burned to ashes, the priesthood can be cleansed, and the building of another temple can commence. Many things can happen to these 5 heifers over the next year. If they continue to meet the rabbinical requirements, certain preparatory actions can then be taken by rabbis in Israel in relation to ritual sacrifices and perhaps even the rebuilding of another temple. However, in order to fulfill Bible prophecies about the cessation of daily sacrifices on or near the Temple Mount, which can be seen in Daniel 12, only an altar is needed to begin the sacrifices.
You can see them peeking out. They look beautiful. Perfect. They just look perfect. They look happy, content. Wow, these look like the finest red heifers from around the world. For those not familiar with the song, it's all about the Holy Temple.
They want the third temple to be built, and we know the Antichrist, according to the Bible, is going to he's going to basically stop these daily sacrifices and exalt himself in the holy place. So that's why we think, even though it says they only need an altar for the sacrifices to stop and start, we're also actually waiting for the temple, because the Antichrist will sit in the holy place when he stops the sacrifices and exalts himself. And the holy place, when we look at the Old Testament, refers to a specific physical place in the temple. If you look at this picture as an illustration, the holy place, it's not a metaphor. It's the holy place is a direct reference to what they knew as the holy place in the Old Testament. It's a place in the actual temple. Now, the next thing is this. Has anyone noticed this statue that the United Nations put up outside their headquarters in November last year. That was 2021, November. Is it a massive coincidence that the creature that the statue is of, that this creature really resembles the one in Revelation 13? Why did they choose to put up a statue of this exact specific creature? Now, this is the United Nations we're talking about. It's not some fringe Christian group somewhere in the world. And I mean, this isn't a religious art exhibition at some university, or it's not some like abstract art show or anything. This is the United Nations. Revelation 13, verse 2. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, and his seat, and great authority. Remember I mentioned the verse after that just earlier? Let's just read it in context, and I won't comment on it. Just want it all to be in your awareness with some context. So Revelation 13, this is verse 1 to 10. Let's just read the whole thing. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, and his seat, and great authority. And I saw one of his heads, as it were, wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth, speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life, of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Now 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 1 to 6 says, But of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh, as a thief in the night. For when they shall say, Peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, and that day should overtake you as a thief. Ye are all the children of light, and the children of the day. We are not of the night, nor of darkness. Therefore let us not sleep, as do others, but let us watch and be sober. So, while the world perceives what's happening as us steadily moving towards peace, the United Nations Guardian of Peace and Security statue, and which resembles the first beast, and Trump's unprecedented peace agreement, and the world's religions merging. If you remember the Pope's efforts that I mentioned also in my last video, all this promise of peace, well, just listen to how well this ties in with the third temple.
Fourth, building the third temple. Then everybody will prosper, because this is what the temple is for the whole world.
So you think that there could be some union between all the religions as part of this?
Absolutely. We already have unity, but everybody's afraid from the terrorists. But, okay, so this is our job, to unify everybody to worship the only true living God in the third temple with all the nations that will worship God.
Hashem will be a king, the one king and we'll unite the whole world.
Right.
So yes.
So you see that Jacob and Esau reuniting in the last days. So Muslims and Jews and Christians would be part of this one world, including some Kabbalistic and Eastern influences, all into one kind of religion in this temple. Is that
I won't call it one kind of religion, one kind of understanding.
like a new way of thinking?
So it's understanding that there is one God in heaven.
So it's kind of a new way, a higher consciousness, a higher way of thinking.
Exactly. And at the end of times, everybody will understand that Hashem Echad U'Shmo Echad.
Okay.
God is one.
Okay.
So why do we care about these world religions merging? Well, because we know that the Antichrist will be worshipped. He will be a false Christ. Instead of Christ, he'll be the Antichrist. And he will cause everyone to take his mark. Without the mark, you can't buy or sell. And if you don't take his mark and worship the beast, then you'll be put to death. So that's the point it's going to come to. So that is why these are all red flags for us. Now, just a reminder, guys, do not take the mark of the beast, because your soul cannot be saved after you take the mark of the beast. So don't think that you can take the mark of the beast and then ask for forgiveness and then quickly get baptized and repent. If you take the mark of the beast, it's over. Your soul can't be saved. So please, I'm not going to go into more detail about that now, because there's another sign that I just quickly want to share. And I know this video is long, so if you're still watching, thank you. But there is another sign, and that is the Euphrates River drying up.
Millions in Syria and Iraq are facing water shortages as the region's longest river, the Euphrates, dries up. Israel and Jordan have been engaging in drought diplomacy over scarce water resources, while Kuwait is converting the world's largest tire dump into a city. The Euphrates has been the cradle of civilization in West Asia. The river has been the lifeline for millions in Iraq and Syria for thousands of years. But now it has sunk to a historic low, sparking the region's worst water crisis in years. Our next report tells you more.
The mighty Euphrates River used to near Khaled al-Hamis's farm. But now the river is only visible from a distance. The crops have been destroyed due to the lack of irrigation. Even worse, the farmer's family has been left without drinking water.
We are completely deprived of drinking water. The women have to walk 7 kilometers just to get a bucket of water for their children to drink.
Al-Hamis is among millions of Syrians who depend on West Asia's longest river, Euphrates. Water levels in the river have hit record lows. Neighboring Iraq has also been affected. Both Iraq and Syria have been dry countries. Despite this, the current drought is unprecedented. Rainfall has declined by 70%. Environmentalists are calling it the region's worst water crisis in years.
12 million people in Syria and Iraq are struggling with this, the worst water crisis in years that we have seen. So especially this is, the water table is at its lowest, 70% less rainfall, and this has really wide ramifications for health. It has wide ramifications because drinking water isn't safe.
The issue is not limited to drinking water shortage. Critical facilities like hospitals are at risk of facing power outages. This, as the drought is threatening to bring hydroelectric power plants to a halt.
Power shortages affect people's lives and forces them to use fuel oil. In addition, in the summer when it's hot, people need more electricity. With pumping stations and power generation stations out of service, hundreds of thousands of hectares of agricultural lands are affected, as well as the vegetable, maize and cotton seasons.
and activists warn that the situation is likely to worsen due to a lack of water resource management in the war-torn countries. Bureau Report, We On, Wild is One.
Okay, so the river Euphrates drying up is in Revelation 16 verse 12. And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. In Revelation 9 verse 13 to 15 we see, and the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar which is before God, saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And the four angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour, a day, and a month, and a year, for to slay the third part of men. Have you seen this new video since the Euphrates has started drying up? Now you can decide for yourself if it's real or fake. Listen to this. So does this mean, I think we're at the sixth trumpet and the sixth vial, the second last one before Jesus comes back? Well, I think Jesus is coming back very, very soon, yes. And as we've heard on that news segment, that drought of the Euphrates River is unprecedented. I'm just sharing what I see. But if we take a step back and look at the fifth angel sounding his trumpet, that's when the bottomless pit will be opened, and these demonic beings will come out and torment all the people who do not have the seal of God on their foreheads, according to Revelation 9. Then at the sixth trumpet, the four angels that are bound up under the Euphrates River, which we possibly just heard, they will come up and gather armies, and they will kill a third part of the men on earth, men as in humans on earth. So I'm going to stop there because I don't want to deep dive and make a long video. I just had it on my heart to share these few signs for those who might have missed it. And guys, all of this is happening while CERN is hard at work in the background. They do play a role in all of this, and I believe it can be through the opening of portals, which, you know, they're involved with, that this bottomless pit might be opened. That's a super deep topic to delve into, so yeah, definitely not going to do that now. But again, just for video reference, I like Joseph Okechukwo's videos on this subject, so maybe go check out his videos if you want to dive a bit deeper into CERN. I'll link one of his videos in the description. And just a quick disclaimer, just because I recommend someone else's channel or videos doesn't mean I 100% agree with everything they say. I will always suggest you take everything you hear to God and test it by His word. But yes, I suggest his videos on CERN for some more insight on that topic, like I said. And that's it for now, guys. I pray you put your trust in God, let go of your sin, and let go of these silly distractions that the world wants to offer you, like parties, money, careers, new cars, and big houses. Like, all of that is just nothing. There is so much more to life, and we have been blinded and lied to. So please wake up. Jesus is calling you to come to him before it's too late. Alright, take care guys, and I'll see you in the next video.